Hello once again, race fans. Welcome back to another episode of the NASCAR Show here on The Grueling Truth, where legends speak. I'm Alex Gray, along here with Steve Risley. And we have a guest. We got Michael Klein back in here with us. Michael, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me again.
Hey, no problem,
Mike's not a guest. He's an expert. We're guests. We get to talk to Mike.
Hey, he's the driver. Man, we have a lot to discuss, including some news that has broken out this morning and last night. We'll get to that just a little bit. First off, we're going to go ahead and cover what's been happening at Michigan this past weekend, as well as the Xfinity Series running at Mid-Ohio. Let's start first off with the Gander Outdoors Truck Series. This actually was the final regular season truck race, and this was a little crazy here. Austin Hill getting his second win of the season, a good way to end the regular season on. Sheldon Creed second, Tyler Dipple in third, Brett Moffitt got fourth, Austin Wayne Self in fifth, really good run for him in that family operation. Bailey Curry in sixth, driving for Nice Motorsports. Grant Enfinger seventh, locking up the regular season championship, so that's 15 bonus points, I believe. Stuart Friesen, Ray Cicerelli, and Matt Crafton rounding out the top 10. Here's what the Truck Series playoffs will look like. You got Brett Moffitt, Grant Enfinger, Stuart Friesen, Ross Chastain, Austin Hill, Matt Crafton, Johnny Sauter, and Tyler Ankrum. So a few notable names missed the cut, such as Ben Rhodes. He looked strong there late in the race, and once again, luck just didn't seem to run his way. He ended up finishing.
He just hasn't been able to buy a break this season. Just saying.
He really hasn't. Yeah. Because he's been in contention to win so many times, and just something happens every time. It's just like, gosh. But yeah, so the Truck Series.
I mean, he would have won at Kentucky if not for Brennan Poole.
Yeah, Brennan Poole. Yeah, I remember that. I remember he and Poole got that little scuffle after the race, which I can understand Rhodes' frustration there.
Yeah. Honestly, I'd say good for him. He's taken so much since joining the sport. He needs to stand up for himself. I think he suddenly realized that.
Certainly. Oh, certainly. Yeah, I agree. So, of these 8 drivers, who do you think will win the Truck Series championship, and who could be someone to look out for?
If we're talking about I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. That's up to you.
Okay,
I'm picking Matt Crafton.
All right. I'm not gonna lie, it's actually kind of hard to pick one, but if I had to go really right now, I would say Ross Chastain, which is kind of shocking for me to say just because he was definitely a sleeper coming into this, but he is just too good this season. You know, even with that equipment he's in, it's just hard to go against him.
I feel like it's part of me thinks it's destiny for Chastain to win the championship. Obviously, anything can happen. If there's anyone I would look out for, it's Tyler Ankrum. He's been running really well since that Kentucky win. I feel like he could be somebody that may sneak into the championship for, and you're like, whoa, where did he come from? So I'd watch out for Tyler Ankrum. But yeah, I just have the suspicion Chastain's going to take it home. We'll see. Moffitt's been running strong all year. Enfinger, Friesen finally got a win. We're going to have a really good truck playoffs here. We're going to have a really, really good truck playoffs. It starts at Bristol next week, I believe.
Yeah, and Mike, I got a question for you. Are the trucks basically just an Xfinity car with a truck body on it? I mean, is this the same chassis and frame basically?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
Yeah, they are.
Explain that. I think a lot of people don't understand because I mean I don't see how they keep the back ends of those trucks on the ground because they're so light in the back. And I always just thought that they were pretty much just Xfinity cars with a truck body on it versus a car body on it. But go ahead and explain that.
Well, I mean, really, when you get up to a truck and you look at it, you can definitely tell there is a huge difference between those and the other cars. Like, for one, the chassis are definitely less rounded. You know, it's a lot more, I don't know how you would put it, it's more like a box style thing than like without all the bends in them. And the back end definitely extends further out than in the Xfinity or Cup Series.
But is it still the same frame of the car? I mean, the body of the car is the frame. The chassis that they build, the roll cage, everything like that, and you can fabricate any body to fit on any car or any truck, for that matter. So the way
you could, but for the most part, for the most part, yeah. Like I said, for the most part, you got to make a body that will adhere well to the chassis. So, really, when you look at them both, there's just a world of difference.
Well, have you driven a truck? Have you driven one of the trucks?
No.
No.
But that would lead into the announcement I'm going to be making later. But let's go ahead and just keep going this discussion until we get to that.
Okay.
All right.
Well, and we'll let you make your and I'm looking forward to your announcement. But it seems to me that how do they weight down the back end of the trucks and keep those things on the ground? Because I would think that all the weight is shifted up front to the engine, into the cab, and that back end is, it just seems to me that back end's got to be light. And I would think the trucks are probably the most squirreliest vehicles to drive in NASCAR because the back end is just so loose all the time.
Well, yeah, they are.
And more downforce, yeah.
Yeah. And, like you said, yeah, they are one of the more squirrely vehicles out there just because of that weight difference. But, really when you get up to them and you look at them, there's definitely a lot more going on back there than you can tell because, for one, that's where the fuel cell is. So, of course, that's where all the fuel's going. Mm-hmm. And what I noticed is that it looks like it's not like a tubular thing that they have under there, like a tubular chassis. It looks like a nice solid, undercarriage that they have on that. Of course, that's going to add weight. And you have all the rear end housing in it, too, that's adding on that weight.
Yeah, well, fuel goes away pretty quickly. You only hold, 18 to 20 gallons, so you start losing that pretty fast.
Yeah, and I mean, if you notice that these trucks get a lot more squirrely later on into a run, of course you can say that's definitely the tires that are also doing that. But if you ask me, I would say it's also just the fact that there's not as much fuel back there. And really it's like that in any of the series. I mean, like with my car, we decide – my car owner basically decides how much fuel he wants to put in, not only to, make it to the end, but also to give me the car that would handle the best for the track.
So they actually make that decision. They actually make that decision, say, we're not going to fill you up. We're going to give you 14 gallons instead of 18 gallons or 20 gallons, whatever the tanks hold, because
but they may
balance on the car.
Yeah, but you only really see them making a call like that toward the end of a stage or toward the end of the race, just because with this series, it's a lot, or when you get up to the Cup Series, it's more of a long run type deal. So, yeah, you're probably going to see teams filling it up just so they can go to distance. But if, you need to make a stop with just laps to go in a stage, then, yeah, you're likely to see them make those type of calls.
All right, here's a good question that I have for you. So before we get into the whole thing about all the races that have occurred in the last week, describe to our listeners, what does a pound of tire pressure do to the handling of a race car? Because they're talking about we took a pound out of tire pressure, we put a pound in, we did this. What does it really make that big of a difference? Because, I drive my car or truck, and I got tire pressures all over the place, and I don't notice a big difference in handling. Of course, I'm not doing it at 190 miles an hour, but what does a pound of tire pressure do to change a car?
Okay, so basically, with tire pressure, it's basically how much air you're putting in to the tires. So
it heats up and expands.
Yeah. So if you're adding air pressure, what you're doing is you're getting that tire a little bit more solid because you have more air in there. and that's causing it to eat into the track less, which in return will loosen the car up. Just because, like I said, it's not eating into the turn as much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Very good. The tire's a lot more solid.
Yeah. No, I can tell when I fill my tires up and I get them to max air pressure. I can feel the car. Even in my truck, I feel it handles a little differently. But I don't know. It's amazing to me how we took a half pound out of the right rear, and it changed the whole dynamics of the handling of the race car. That's amazing to me. So, but, we're talking generalizations there. Okay. Alex, Eldora.
Yes.
What did you think of Eldora?
Eldora? Really good race. I think it's great. The Truck Series run there. Obviously, Stuart Friesen finally getting that win, really much needed for him. It really helps him, of course, get into the playoffs as well. And that was the truck race before Michigan. Yep, that was before Michigan. I'm just reviewing that real quick. Yeah, Friesen, Creed, Enfinger, Mike Marlar, and Todd Gillen. That was the top 5 there. I think it's really cool, because before Truck Series began running there, NASCAR hadn't ran on dirt since 1970 or something like that. And I think it's really cool that it pays homage to the grassroots kind of racing where, a lot of people get their start, or a lot of people start racing on dirt, and Eldora is one of those tracks. Obviously, Tony Stewart has even hinted at the fact that maybe someday he could run the Eldora truck race at his own track, which would be pretty cool. That's like talking about defending your own turf. Do you want me to get into the Xfinity Cup races now?
Well, let me ask one question. And Michael and I talked about this off air before we got started. Can NASCAR go above the trucks on dirt, or should you just leave it with the trucks and let it go?
Ooh, really, really hard to say. It depends how feasible it will be. Obviously, if you were to run now, if you did a Cup on dirt, my idea would be, why don't you run the All-Star race at the Charlotte dirt track? I know that, kind of moves away from tradition at Charlotte Motor Speedway, but it's still right there. You could, or even if it was like a regular race, you would have to do it in, like the Truck Series does, you would have to do it in stages, and of course you would have to design the cars a little differently, because I know the trucks have a little bit different design, so that therefore they can run on the dirt, and of course same deal with the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Whether it be Eldora or not, the question is it feasible? It would be fun. I think it would be, honestly though, I think the best idea is to run the Charlotte dirt track as the All-Star race. I think that would be kind of unique, kind of different. Just a silly idea I had pop in my head one time, honestly.
Well, no, Michael and I were talking, again, kind of pre-production, and I suggested, and, Michael said it's not feasible, and he's a driver, so I trust his judgment more than I trust my own. I say you go back to the original Daytona 500 track and run on the beach and run the All-Star race on the original Daytona track, which was basically half of it was on the beach. But again, the cost prohibitiveness of building you got to build a specific car to do that. You can't do that with the current Cup car or Xfinity car. So now you're adding, another $300,000 or $400,000 budget into these guys to develop a car that'll do that, and it's not feasible, but it would be fun to see. But
it would be. It would remind me of the old NASCAR Thunder video games when you can unlock the Daytona Beach racetrack.
Make them all run convertibles. Make them all run convertibles. They used to do. They did. They ran convertibles.
That's really way back when. But, I don't know if it's feasible. It just depends on the money. Obviously, for Cup and Xfinity, it's a lot more expensive to do that stuff. Truck. I could definitely see where you and Michael are coming from with that.
Yeah. Michael said it's not possible to do, and I agree with him. But it would be fun if there was some way to do it where they could. We just go take the All-Star race and just put it back on the original Daytona Beach. Half of it was run on the beach, half was run through the streets or whatever. of Daytona, and they had the loop and everything. When you see all the old vintage films, it'd be fun, but it's not feasible. All right,
just an idea.
Yeah.
Sorry, just an idea I had. For down there is, what if you have the trucks running at the Volusia Motor Speedway, but that's that dirt track that's about 20 minutes away from Daytona. I've been there a couple times. It is a great track. I honestly think they could hold. Yeah, I honestly think they could hold a truck race. You may have to upgrade your facilities a little bit, but not much. They've got a great pit area. They got plenty of room outside the track. I honestly think this would be a great place for the truck series to go. Which, again, it's just a matter of whether or not you get the crowd there, get funding to make any necessary upgrades.
Oh, I think you sell it out. I mean, I think people go nuts over it. I mean, NASCAR fans, NASCAR's kind of gone back right now to a little bit more of a regional sport. It's shrunk a little bit, but it's expanding again now because the racing is getting good because of the 550 package. The Aero package, 550 Aero package has really changed the sport and dynamically, and we're seeing great racing at every track now. And I think they got that right. That's one of the few things NASCAR's got really right in the last 4 or 5 years, and they've got competitive races going on right now, and guys aren't running away with things anymore. I mean, you look at guys like Kyle Busch. He's not winning at the level he was winning at a couple of years ago. There's other guys in there that are coming up and on board, and other competitive guys. You got DiBenedetto. You got other guys that are in there that on lesser teams that are being competitive. So, but we'll talk about that as we go on. So, Alex, what do we got? What do we got in trucks and Xfinity? What do we got going on? I thought the race, the Xfinity race was a great race again.
Yeah, it was a fun race. By the way, I saw pictures of Volusia just now. That looks like a really nice track. But anyway, Mid-Ohio, Austin Cindric strikes again. He's really proven that he could be a dual threat on road courses, getting his second straight win, his second career Xfinity win, driving for Roger Penske. That was at Mid-Ohio. Christopher Bell was second. A.J. Allmendinger in third, and this time he got to keep it. Tyler Reddick in fourth, Noah Grace in fifth, rounding out the top 10. Let's see, Justin Allgaier, Chase Briscoe, Cole Custer, Justin Haley, Brandon Jones. And how about Will Rogers finishing in 12th for Brandon Dolt Motorsports, Jeremy Clements in 11th.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was a great run for Will Rogers in that 86.
Yeah, Will's a good friend of mine, so it's good to see him having some success.
Yeah, definitely. And, of course, Jack Hawksworth I believe he's a sports car driver. He made his NASCAR debut running the 18 for Joe Gibbs. He finished 15th, and I believe he won the second stage driving that 18 car.
And he took over for Earnhardt, didn't he?
Yeah, that was the guy who filled in Jeffrey's spot there.
Yeah. Okay.
And, all right, so, by the way, do you want to go ahead and just, talk about what's going on with Jeffrey Earnhardt, IK9, what could be happening?
Well, they had
absolutely.
Was Haley Deegan driving the car? Did I see her in an IK9 uniform?
Well, basically, from what I've read, now, of course, when we did the show last week, I did not know a few other things just yet because they hadn't come out. According to, some of the experts like Bob Pockris, hearing that Jeffrey had apparently ended the contract with IK9. A lot of people have claimed that IK9 could be, Christopher Bell's Cup sponsor next year and all these other rumors. I think there's a lot going on that we don't know just yet. Whether it's a money thing or, maybe, because Jeffrey brought IK9 in. IK9 was backing Jeffrey. And, and suddenly Jeffrey ended the contract. So, I like to hear, especially both of yours, especially Michael's input on the situation. It just seems kind of weird how this has suddenly gone down. And it's a shame because Jeffrey has really come out, really put on some good results driving for some of the best equipment in NASCAR.
Michael?
I mean, yeah, definitely. I was shocked to hear that, too. especially being a lifelong Earnhardt fan, I was kind of upset to hear that. And then when I hear, he's the one who terminated it, I was kind of like, what? That just doesn't make any sense. If you're running this well, excuse me, if you're running that well and having the success you've worked for years to get, why would you just do that? It just really doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, I mean, is he going? Is he going to Little East team? Is he going to drive Little East car?
I haven't heard anything about that. He actually did that once, I believe, back in 2013, but I haven't heard of anything about him getting back in that. I mean, it'd be cool to watch if he did.
He would be, and the thing is, Jeffrey was on Dale Jr.'s podcast at one point. They even talked about this. The reason why Jeffrey Jr. even said, I always offer Jeffrey to drive for me. Now, of course, sponsorship does play an important role, but Jeffrey basically said, I want to kind of just go on my own way. I don't want to feel like some sort of he didn't want to be given the ride because he was a family member, right? He basically wanted to work his way up, which, get the respect where it needs to be given. I can respect Jeffrey for that,
Absolutely.
Yeah, but you want to drive. I mean, you don't want to sit and watch race on TV if you're a driver.
Yeah, and I still think even if this is the end for him at TRD or whatnot, I feel like somebody will look at him and go, okay, he's put on some good results. Maybe he'll go the same route as Ross Chastain did. He was supposed to run Xfinity full-time this year with Ganassi. I had him December before it all broke down. I had him as a championship contender. And, and then, everything happened with DC Solar. Well, now he's running for a truck championship. Maybe Jeffrey also could go down that same route where maybe he finds a ride in Xfinity truck and, he ends up, running for the playoffs potentially in 2020. Maybe something like that could happen. It's hard to say.
And, also, just to kind of build on that, this is something I really kind of thought of, but I just kind of blacked out there for a second. But, IK9 has not necessarily had the best reputation in the NASCAR garage, especially with what happened at Daytona when all their logos were taken off and then just kind of rapidly put on there. So I don't know, maybe there's something going on with that company that Jeffrey Earnhardt noticed, and maybe he's just kind of thinking, I don't want to get caught up in this when this all eventually goes down.
Yeah.
So it's best if I just get out of it now. I don't know. That would honestly be my best bet just because I don't see any other reason why he would just leave that car unless he knew he would be in trouble if he didn't.
Right.
And
again, I've worked for Pfizer for 25 years. 5 years, we had the 6 car. We had the Viagra car. And, and I kind of got on the board of people that kind of helped push the thing through, marketed it, and did everything like that because, I'm a NASCAR fan, so I'd like to get on board, and had the privilege of doing so. It's an incredibly expensive proposition to sponsor one of these cars. And when we had the Viagra car, we basically had to buy everything. We had to buy the right rear quarter panel, the trunk, the roof, the lid, everything, because we didn't want Trojan condoms or Victoria's Secrets or anybody else coming on board onto the car. We weren't allowed. The FDA said we couldn't do that. So it was an expensive proposition. So for IK9, I don't know how much money they make or how much money they're bringing in, but to get involved, I don't know that Xfinity is that much cheaper or less expensive, is the phrase we use in pharmaceuticals. It's never cheaper. It's less expensive. There's a significant commitment to do, and I don't know if they make that kind of money. I don't know what IK9 makes, or I haven't looked at their bottom line. I'm going to look at stuff, but it's a lot of money to throw into when you're supporting a team to the strength to where IK9 wants to throw a team. So they may be in a little over their heads right now. And
I think that's a good possibility. Yeah, I think it's a good possibility because, with DC, same deal with DC Solar. This was a company that just came out of nowhere, and think,
right.
yeah, we're gonna invest in a NASCAR, which by the way is much appreciated. But when you're going to invest into, and not just NASCAR, but anything like any major sports event or sports team or whatnot, you got to have the money. So IK9, do they have the money? I think that's a big question mark right now.
I mean, everything they're spending is profit. I mean, every dollar they're putting into NASCAR, you'll get some advertising out of it, but it's pretty much all profit that they're throwing away into a NASCAR team. And,
and just to throw this out there,
I don't say throwing away. They're investing it into a NASCAR team, hoping to get the advertising out of it. But it's an expensive proposition.
Yeah, just to throw this out there, just because I kind of feel like this would support, what I think and what I'm sure a lot of other people think is that Jeffrey Earnhardt brought IK9 over to Gibbs. So if there is something going on where they could end up in trouble, he could easily end up being dragged down with them. So by getting out of the contract now, I believe that would clear him of anything. But, that could essentially be a career ender for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a risky move, but I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah. No.
We'll see what happens.
It's a shame that the sport is predicated more on sponsorship dollars than it is on talent at this point in time. It generally seems that way. That if you can bring money to the table, you're going to get a ride. If you don't have the money to bring to the table, and Michael, you can talk to this more than any of us. Is that true? Is that kind of how the pressure on you when you come and like what money you bring to the table? What do you face when you go to say somebody, I'm talented enough to drive your car, I can win with your car, but do you face that every time you go talk to an interview to drive for somebody?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, you can be the most talented driver in the world right now, but generally, if you don't have the funding, teams aren't going to want you. Well, it's not going to be that they don't want you. It's just that they're not going to be able to take you because it is so expensive to run nowadays that, they have to have somebody bringing that money forward.
Yeah, and sponsorship helps fund race teams, too, with all that money coming in.
Yeah, and that's what I have to look at. That's what I have to look at and rely on each time I'm trying to get behind the wheel. Because, I don't come from a family of money. My family can't afford to put me in one of these. So I have to go out and actually try to find it.
Well, and that's a great question I was going to ask you. Do you go out and make cold calls on people trying to find sponsors?
I make phone calls. I do emails. I get on Messenger. I do whatever. I contact them however I can, really. And it's also just doing a ton of research, too, just because it's also going to depend on what region you're in. Like, if I want to go out and run, say, somewhere up in Michigan, if I try to find sponsorship down here, I'm not going to have much luck because that's not in their area. So what I don't have to do is I have to research companies up there and see if I can find any who would be interested.
Right.
Yeah. So you send your resume out. You send your driving resume out, I assume, correct?
Yes.
And you tell what you've accomplished and what you've done and what you have a business plan, I'm sure. You have a mission statement, I'm sure, and do all those things that you need to do. And you just hope that somebody's going to bite and say, yeah, I'm a race fan. I'm going to get into this a little bit and do this. Is that kind of how it works? Because I don't think a lot of people that listen to us know how hard it is for a driver to get a ride. It's not just based on talent anymore. Like we've already talked about that, but it's based on what money can you bring to the table with you.
Yeah, and I mean that's something that a lot of people, don't understand about this is that, you really have to be a hard worker, to make it in this. And I saw this tweet from Tommy Joe Martin just the other week where he had some family who said, they were starting a driver development contract with their son and asking how they can move up. And Tommy Joe said, I basically had to tell them, you need to look at who you're getting involved with, because there's so many of these teams that won't help you at all. And also, it doesn't matter how talented your son is, you need to bring money to the table.
Yeah.
And that is an awful system, just saying, because for one, you're having really talented drivers who are missing these seats, and some of these guys who have the money, they're not performing well at all. They're going to keep the ride because they have that money, And I can give you one example of that is Mike Seneca. The dude has a ton of money, but, the dude can't drive worth the damn. So.
Yeah, but then you've got Paul Menard.
Yeah.
His dad owns Menards. He's got more money than God.
Yeah, he's got one win.
He's NASCAR. Yeah. He's
got one win in an almost 20-year career.
Yeah, he won the Brickyard, didn't he? He won the Brickyard.
Yeah.
It's only races
he's driven for some of the top teams too, and when you only have one win to your credit.
But he's got his dad owns Menards, which is the largest hardware store in the world, and so he's got money. So everywhere he goes, he's gold to any team that wants to take him, which is what Danica Patrick was, until she finally, her flavor kind of fell out of whatever, and even Stewart said, that's enough. You're wrecking my cars every race. And then, Nature's Bakery, I think, was it Nature's Bakery? Alex, was that they fell off. I mean, she had GoDaddy, and then she started just not being competitive at all. But like Paul Menard is a great example of what's going on right now. Is that
and like we were talking
he's never
earlier,
going to go away. Yeah, Paul Menard's never going to go away. He's going to race.
And, I know we were talking about these guys earlier. You're also kind of seeing that with Natalie Decker. I mean, she's got N29 sponsoring her whole deal, and yet she has wrecked so many trucks this year. I've honestly lost count.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a single race that she's run where she hasn't been involved in at least one incident. It doesn't help that her sponsors are totally rushing her either.
Yeah, I want to make I make the argument that Decker is being rushed on the truck. I think she needs.
Well, they want a female. They want a female back in the Cup Series, though, don't they, Alex? Is that not right?
Well, I mean, yeah, they want to. I think right now, NASCAR wants to find, who's going to be the next Jeff Gordon, who's going to be that female superstar that the sport needs. Yeah, I'm looking. Let's see if I can pull up her truck stats and see how many.
At this point, I'm sorry, but it would not be Decker.
Be Deegan.
Yeah.
Yes. Deegan, now, she's got potential.
Okay. Well, I got to ask you guys a question real quick. Have any of you watched the NASCAR Wise show?
I have not.
No. No, I haven't. I don't have CMT.
Don't watch it.
But
it is, I got CMT. Don't watch it. It is horrendously bad. That's a show that needs to pull off the air immediately.
Oh, my goodness. I actually saw
Busch or Kyle Busch or anybody involved. I mean, get this crap off the air right now.
I actually saw this tweet from Amber Balkeen. She's one of the girls on that show, and she was actually apologizing for it.
Oh, I know. It's awful. It is horrendously horrible. It's not
I'm just saying, if you want to have a racing reality show, have it revolve around racing. That's what we like. I honestly don't care about the drivers' personal lives. Yeah. There was this old series that they did on CMT called, I think it was something called Born to Drive, and it basically highlighted this one girl.
Were they had him run? Was it Roush or Yates that did that?
No, that was from a while ago. The one I'm talking about is about they were showing this late model racer named Annabeth Barnes, and they basically highlighted her journey in stock car racing. That's what we want to see.
Yeah, this is not that. This is just a. I watched. I DVR'd the first 2 episodes and we flipped through them real quickly, and they are horrendously bad. I mean, if I was any one of the husbands involved, my wife is being involved in this, I would kick her off the show in a heartbeat. So you're not doing this. No more. I don't care. So you got to watch an episode of it. All right, let's move on before we get into Michigan and then to Bristol and the rest of the season. Michael, silly season. Alex, silly season. We're getting down to 3 races left now. Who's on the hot seat? I mean, is Eric Jones on the hot seat? I don't think he is. I don't think he should be. The guy's putting it out. I mean, he hadn't won, but he's in the top 5 or top 10 every race now. And then you got Clint Boyer, and you got DiBenedetto. You got guys retiring. There's a few minor seats open, but there's no really right now any big seats open. What does silly season look like? Because now it starts. Now silly season starts. What's your guys' thoughts on that?
Yes, silly season has officially kicked off. So last night, Adam Stern made a handful, just dropping bombshells of news. So first one, Matt DiBenedetto is unlikely to return to Levine Family Racing's number 95 Toyota, per people familiar.
And that's sad. He's done a great job for them.
He's got, I think, 4 top 5s in the last 7 races. I mean, why would you end that?
Yeah. What do you expect in craft equipment? I mean,
he'll find something.
He will. He'll find a ride.
And I mean, that Levine family car just opened up. I mean, that front row car just opened up. So that would definitely be an option. It certainly would be sort of a downgrade for him, but at least he's still in the sport.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, front row, it was announced this morning that David Reagan will retire from full-time racing at the end of this season, stating that he just wants to spend more time with his family. He is open to part-time racing. Front row does plan on keeping a 3-car team. No replacement has been announced, but as you mentioned, that could be where Matt DiBenedetto goes. And I think it's weird because yesterday, too, I think DiBenedetto was announced that he was going to run an Xfinity road course race for JGR, if I remember hearing that correctly.
Yep.
And what else is there? Clint Boyer still has a solid chance to return to Stuart Haas's number 14, though no extension has been reached. Eric Jones is expected to be back in the 20 next year, so, signaling a renewal was close. So there's a good chance that Mr. Christopher Bell will go to the 95. That's what everything is looking right. Of course, not everything has been announced just yet, but that's what everything's looking. What else was there? There was something else I saw, if I can pull it. Yeah. So a Twitter called NASCAR Rumor Mill, they posted something about hearing at least one announcement will come at the Roval in a few weeks regarding one, quote, senior driver's future, possible retirement, more to come. Take it with a grain of salt. Don't really know. But supposedly that's what this page is talking about here. So.
Well, okay, so is Jimmy Johnson done?
I think Johnson's got one more year on his contract. I think he's going to honor that. Obviously he's going to.
Well, I mean, is he done as a driver? I mean, he wrecks his car almost every race now. He's really not. He'll run up front for a while, and you got Byron and Bowman and Elliott running consistently now in the top 10. You got Johnson screwing things up. I mean, is it just time for the third king to step aside?
I mean, yeah, I think Johnson has declined over the past couple of years. First season last year without a win. This year, of course, Michigan, I think he had some issues with his car. He just never recovered, which pretty much added him now 18th in points. He's on the outside looking in. I have a confident feeling Johnson will retire here within the next year or two. He's been struggling, and it's hard to say whether he has. Because right now, I don't think he's in any shape to run for an 8th championship, which is really hard to watch because Johnson's just been so good. But Yeah,
and so, Michael, you're a driver. How do your skills diminish? I mean, you got power steering, you got brakes, you got pit crew, you got everything. How do your skills diminish, or is it your competitiveness? What diminishes, your skills or your competitiveness as you get older?
Personally, I would say it could be a bit of a combination of both. Because, like you said, you have power steering, pit crew, and all that. But, still, it's a very mental game when you're on track and a physical game. So if you're losing your concentration for even 1 second, that's going to ruin your race, or could ruin your race. So, and as you get older, that ability diminishes. And now as you see Jimmy Johnson getting into his mid-40s, you're going to start seeing that. And something you could say his competitiveness has also been diminishing, maybe just because he knows he's getting towards the twilight years of his career. He knows he's already accomplished all there is to accomplish in NASCAR. So it certainly could be a combination of both, I would say.
Yeah, but wouldn't you think you'd want to get to number 8? You'd want to pass Earnhardt and Petty and get to number 8 and just set the new bar. I mean, wouldn't you think that would be competitive enough for him to want to just bust his buns and get it done? I would think it would be. I would say, yeah, if I can get to number 8, and then I'll walk away at number 8. I'm done. Beat that.
Yeah. You could make that argument, but at the same time, I think you kind of need to be realistic about it too. And so maybe Jimmy Johnson being more realistic about it, and admitting, okay, you know what, my ability is diminishing. And I wouldn't say this is all his fault. Hendrick seems to have been struggling as a whole, and they're starting to get back up. But, of course, you're seeing Jimmy Johnson kind of being left behind in all this. So I think at some point you do realize I need to be realistic and understand this may not happen. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it. Like I said, I can't say anything here for sure. It's because I'm not Jimmy. But just coming from my own standpoint as a driver, just with me, I always like to be as competitive as I can. But at the same time, I'm still a young kid working his way up. You really can't compare me to Jimmy, I don't think, in that regard.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you drive at pretty much the same speeds for the most part. You're still running, and probably I'd say what you do is harder than what Jimmy Johnson does, because Johnson's driving with better drivers around him. I mean, he's got guys that know what they're doing. I'm sure a lot of the races you run, you got guys that are like, I don't know if he's going to cut into me or not.
Me out of my first race this year.
Yeah, and I think it's tougher what you do than what Jimmy Johnson does, truthfully. First off, he's got better equipment. Second, he's got better talent around him, so all the guys know how to handle themselves at 190 miles an hour. And you're in this thing driving your rear end off, and you've got guys that are like, oh, this is a good hobby for me, in some extent. So I think what you do is a little bit harder than what Jimmy Johnson does. I'm just amazed. The same thing happened to Jeff Gordon. He kind of just fell off. He just kind of vanished. He just stopped winning. And now you're seeing it with Johnson now, that they're just not winning, and he's really not competitive. Really, truthfully, I mean, he'll run up front. He'll run up front because he's got great equipment. So, I think you see him go away in a couple of years, and don't be surprised if you see Deegan or somebody come in. I'd love to see Bubba Wallace go to Hendrick. I think that would be a great move.
I'd like to see that too, to be honest.
Yeah, I would. That would be a great move, because I think Bubba Wallace is a racer. He's just in crap equipment. Petty can't afford to do what they need to do to put the cars on the track to get them the opportunity to win. But I put him in a car like a Hendrick car or a JGR car or an SHR car. I think this guy would succeed immensely. He's got the right.
Something I was thinking about actually is now that Bubba has a Richard Petty tattoo on his thigh, does that mean he's pretty much committed to Richard Petty for the rest of his career?
Yeah, I know. I saw that.
Tattoos. Yeah, I've seen that question pop up. Obviously, Worldwide Technology has come on and been a huge support to Bubba and that team. They even thrown in money to let the Victory Junction gang sponsor the rest of the races on the schedule, which is awfully nice of them. Of course, you can't help but still think, that this is a team kind of hanging on the edge a little bit. So, it's hard to say.
Okay, our big announcement. Michael, what's your big announcement? I don't want to get too far into this when people stop listening to us. I want to get your airtime. What do you got going on?
Okay, so I'm sure a lot of people have seen me around the truck garage lately, hanging out with one guy. Well, that one guy was John Pittman, who was starting an ARCA and Truck Series team. And we've decided we are going to attempt to run at Salem and Lucas Oil Raceway for the ARCA Racing Series, funding permitting. And if that goes well and depending on we can get funding, hopefully we're talking about running the truck race at Martinsville and possibly at ISM.
Wow. That's awesome.
Congratulations.
Congratulations,
Thanks.
Michael.
Thanks.
Lucas Oil Raceway is a great track. I know where it's at. It's on the west side of Indianapolis. IRP, yeah. IRP, yeah.
Yeah. Now, this kind of leads into part two of it, is that, like I said, we still need to get this funding together. And we've heard so many fans asking, how do I get involved? Well, we're going to give fans that opportunity and allow them to come on and sponsor the car and truck if they want to. If anyone wants to, I'll gladly give out my email address that you can reach me at, or I can give you my PR representative's contact information. So it's just kind of our way of giving back to the sport. And I certainly love to see people jump on.
You're going to have people sponsor. It's just like people can send individual amounts of dollars?
Yeah. It's basically what Jordan Anderson has done with his truck team. That's kind of where we got this idea. Sort of like a fueled by the fans thing. And, of course, we're looking for companies who would be willing to do this, too. So if any of you know a company – I'm sorry, what was that?
Are you going to sign everybody's name?
Absolutely.
If I send you $100, you put my name on the truck?
Absolutely.
There you go.
It's like I said, I still need to get that approval from the Truck Series, though. That's why we're trying to run these ARCA events. And, if Salem and Lucas Oil go well, maybe we could talk about doing Kansas, too. We're just trying to start off with the short tracks right now. Just because, that's kind of what ARCA's done. Right now, that's all I'm approved to do. But if I can put in a couple of decent races, where I'm not causing any trouble, hopefully that gets me the approval to run Kansas, and we can go there, too.
All right. And do you know what your number is going to be?
The truck number would be 1. It runs in conjunction with Beaver Motorsports.
Okay.
John basically bought their owner points for the races that they're doing.
Okay.
Very good.
Well, I don't know what it would be in ARCA, though, because 1 is already taken. I know that by Fast Track and Indy Hillenburg. So we'd have to look at something else to do that.
All right. Still.
And Lucas Oil's is that Brickyard Weekend? Don't they run that Brickyard Weekend?
They used to, and they moved it this year to October. Don't ask me why they did that. I think that was just a incredibly stupid move on their part. I'm sorry. I don't want to rip into ARCA if I'm going to be driving there. So, but yeah.
Well, I think a lot of people want to see Xfinity and Truck go back to IRP. So, I'm not
going to lie. I'd honestly like to see them move all 3 there. I think that would be great. I know that's not going to happen, but that would be awesome.
What are you driving, a Chevy, a Ford, or a Toyota?
It would be in a Toyota.
Be a Toyota. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I've got connections with Central Indiana Chevy dealers. I maybe could have made a call for you there, but if you're driving a Toyota, I don't think they're going to.
Well, I mean, I can talk to him just because I don't think he's got the ARCA card totally put together yet, and that's what we're focusing on for right now. The truck, I know, however, is a Toyota. But, we're not receiving any manufacturer backing on this either. So,
right.
So if they really wanted to hop on, there'd be nothing really keeping them other than they may not want to be on a Toyota truck. But, it's not unheard of. This has happened with Go Fast Racing. They're a Ford team, and they have Corvette parts sponsoring them. But since they don't have any backing from Ford, I don't believe, they can just take those decals off. So, honestly, we could probably do something like that for the truck.
All right.
Well, I'll try and make a call. I don't know what the dynamics is. I don't know if Chevy, if Central Indiana Chevy dealers wants to get involved with a Toyota vehicle. I don't know. I don't know. I've never pursued that, but I know people there because I know we've been trying to get them to sponsor our other show. We do Survive in Advance on the Grilling Truth, and they're receptive to that. So I'll make a call for you on my behalf so we get something done.
Thanks.
That'd be great. We'll try. So anyway, so is there a way that people can individually donate to your cause? Like if I wanted to give you $100, whatever, send it to you and say, hey, put it toward the truck, put it toward that. Is there a way to do that?
Absolutely. I'll put up all the details on my racing page and on my Twitter page. What I'm probably going to have everyone do is either contact me or NASCAR Low Teams, which is the company that's helping me put this on. So I can't thank them enough for that. So I'll have this information out there. I'll definitely make sure I do that.
Send it to me. I'll put it up on the Grilling Truth, which we get 1 million unique hits every month. Which is new listeners every month. We get 40 million followers every month on this website that Michael Goodpastor has put together. So we'll throw it out there for you. I'll flash it right on there and say, hey, get involved. This is grassroots.
Like
racing.
I said,
this is what you do.
Yeah. And like I said, keep in mind that we're focusing primarily on the ARCA car right now, just because I need to do that before I can get my approval to run the trucks. Okay. So right now, any money we get, it's going to go primarily towards that. And as soon as we get these races set in stone, we'll start focusing on trying to find it for the truck series.
Very good. I'll make that commitment to you.
Yeah, and you said you're running Salem and Lucas Oil Raceway?
That's what we're going for, yes. I can't necessarily say I will be running it, but that is what we are going for. Like I said, it's all dependent on what kind of funding we can get.
Okay.
Very good. Alex, we'll make that our priority, right?
Yeah, if I'm not working those two races on the same day as those two races, I may just head up there. So,
absolutely, man. I'll have you in.
Well, I'm in LA, and I'm taking surfing lessons. So, trying not to get eaten by a shark.
Yeah. So Salem and Lucas Oil are within striking distance for me. So, I'd like to.
Yeah, and that's good about those races is that I can kind of look more locally for sponsorship with that one.
Uh-huh. Yeah, like I said, Central Indiana Chevy Dealers is a good group to go to. They're into it. They sponsor it. They do a lot of good things with it. Lucas Oil actually throws a lot of money into it on their own as well.
All right.
So,
you said Central Indiana Chevy Dealers is who you would be contacting, right?
I'll reach out to them and see what I can get out of them.
Yeah. All right.
I'll try.
Yeah, I was thinking it was.
If you got a resume,
somewhere.
Send me a resume if you got a resume.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I was honestly thinking you were. Yeah, I thought you were talking about somewhere out near where you live right now. So, but if it's out in Central Indiana,
I don't know
that would.
In LA. Yeah. So.
Yeah,
does anybody really?
What's that?
Does anybody really know anyone out in LA?
No. LA's a great place to be from. If it wasn't for my son being in the movie business, I wouldn't be here. But he works for LucasArts. Cool. He works for LucasArts. He's doing a new Star Wars project, and so it's.
Your son works on Star Wars.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm geeking out right now.
Yeah. He's
such a Star Wars fan.
Really cool.
Oh, he knows Favreau. I mean, all the guys. I mean, he hangs out with them all day long. And I'm going to get in trouble for saying this because he's going to hear this and yell at me for bringing it out. But, yeah, he's on a new Star Wars project right now. Doing it. He worked on La La Land. He did. He's done a bunch of movies with Steve Carell. He's gotten into it. So we're out here. My wife wanted to come out here and live out here with him, and I'm like, okay, I'm retired, whatever. Let's go. Anyway, okay, let's wrap up Michigan.
Yes.
Alex, anything weird? Harvick looks dominant. Is he getting up to speed?
Yeah, Harvick, he's starting to I think he's catching fire before the playoffs, and I think he'll be a dual threat for the championship.
We expected that, though, didn't we?
What's that?
We expected that, though.
Well, yeah. And looking at the rest of the top 10.
Okay, well, wait. Before we get past Harvick, and Michael, chime in anytime you want to. The rest of SHR is not really showing a lot right now. I mean, Almirola, he may be on the same hot seat, except that Almirola comes with sponsorship. But, you know, I mean, the rest of the guys on SHR, that team still has not produced a lot for the amount of money they spend.
Well, I mean, I would say Almirola is doing pretty well. You know, he's kind of a sleeper. He's been mainly running top 10. Yeah, he hasn't been winning. He's been up there. He's one of the first guys in points without a win, I think, this season.
Yeah, he's the highest without a win.
Yeah. And now when you get into Boyer and Suarez, okay, yeah, they are kind of struggling, which Suarez was doing pretty good this season. And the past few weeks, he's kind of cooled off. But, you know, he's really come right back this past weekend. But it's going to be interesting to see teammates battling out for that last playoff spot, just because I think it is going to come down to those two, really.
Yeah.
Hamlin's gotten hot. Hamlin all of a sudden is really competitive all of a sudden.
Yeah, Hamlin's been really strong. Suarez got the
Truex is strong.
What's that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Larson's getting there.
Yeah, I think Larson's just in not the same equipment. I don't think that Sabato Ganassi Racing builds the same equipment. And he's in a Chevrolet, and I still think the Chevys are only competitive on certain tracks. What do you guys think?
I mean, Chevy had a slow start. And, you know, since the win that Elliott got at Talladega, they've really been picking it up. And Bowman got the win. Byron's been performing well. And speaking of Chevy, by the way, how about Ryan Preece finishing in 7th for JTG Daugherty Racing? And Chris Buescher in 14th. So that team actually had a pretty solid day. If we're talking about Chevy, I want to bring up JTG Daugherty Racing. So good run for both of those guys. Buescher's been putting up some good on and off results this year. Preece, obviously, with a really good run, much needed for him. In terms of other Chevys, let's see here. Byron, Elliott, Bowman rounding out top 10. Ty Dillon 11th, and then Austin Dillon 13th. You know, I think obviously I don't think Chevy has been up to par with Toyota and Ford, but they certainly picked up the pace as the season has gone on. You know, 2 Chase Elliott wins, and an Alex Bowman win, and a Kurt Busch win. And I still think a William Byron win is coming very soon. The way he's been racing, I think there will be. Yeah, there's going to be a William Byron win somewhere here soon. And if it's not this year, it'll definitely happen next
Agreed.
Yeah. I'm just going to point this out, that just the way he's been doing, when Jimmy Johnson does eventually decide to hang it up, I wouldn't be surprised to see Chris Buescher among the names being discussed to take that over. Because with the equipment he's been in this season, he's been doing good.
Oh, yeah. I always thought Buescher was really good. I mean,
I think everybody has, really.
Yeah. When he drove for front row back in 2016, he drove the wheels off that 34 car, especially after he got that win at Pocono. He got, like, the fifth-place finish at Bristol, and he was able to work hard and keep that car top 30 points to run for the championship, which is, phenomenal to run a car like that. So, I mean, yeah, I think Buescher's an incredible driver, 2015 Xfinity champion. So, I mean, yeah, he'll definitely be potentially in, I guess, silly season talks a year from now.
Yeah, even with JPG, they've never been a top running team. And, now that you have them running top 10, Buescher, the consistency isn't there, but, really the team just isn't in a position to do that. But still, just the way Buescher's been doing, you've got to have his name called to run for a bigger team.
Oh, certainly.
I know he's not brought up often.
But, he has produced some really good finishes. I remember at Kansas, he was running pretty high up there in the top 10 and then a few other different occasions. So, yeah, I definitely see your case for that.
Well, and this is why it's going to be a fun, silly season because I think there's going to be a lot of seats getting changed. I think there's a lot of guys that are, they're getting paid a lot of money and they're not producing at the level of which they need to be producing. And I think you got a lot of young drivers coming up that need to get in the sport, need to get in the highest level. I think you're going to see a lot of changes happen. Obviously, it all happens after November, pretty much, when they start doing that, or when teams don't make the playoffs, then they start making changes. We've already seen a couple, but yeah, I think there's just too much talent sitting just below the surface that needs to come up and be available to drive. And NASCAR needs to renew itself and keep changing itself and bring new drivers in. There's a lot of good talent down there right now. I mean, Xfinity and Trucks have done their job very well, and ARCA. They've all done their jobs very well. So, interesting. Anything else about Michigan? Harvick looks strong. Hamlin looks strong. Alex, any other observations about Michigan we need to talk about? Because, I mean, it's Michigan. It's a 2-mile track. There's not a lot of wrecks. It pretty well spreads out. And you go from there. So no real bumping and grinding. Nobody getting into each other or anything. Is anything unique about Michigan?
I've been there a couple of times. It's a really nice track.
I've been there, yeah. I've gone to Brooklyn.
Oh, yeah.
Hardest
I've been there once before. It's a nice
You got to drive through corn rows to get there. It's like a 2-lane road.
Yeah, but traffic there is like you're in, you're out, unlike Kentucky. Sorry, Kentucky, I love you. But I couldn't help but make that joke. But, yeah, about Michigan, we pretty much brought up, though, bad days for Johnson. Boyer hurts him in the playoffs, especially for Johnson. He's now 18th in points. He's really in trouble, and there's only 3 races to go. Suarez, who's now on the bubble, he finished 5th. So, big day for him. We move on to Bristol. It's Bristol, baby.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So, I mean, we got 3 unique tracks coming up. We got Bristol, which is kind of like Daytona in its own way. I mean, it's a wreck waiting to happen. Mm-hmm. Then you got Indianapolis, which is whoever has unloads the best car is going to win that race, because that's not a great track for NASCAR. And then you go to where we go? Where?
Darlington. We go to Bristol, then Darlington, then Indy.
Oh, it's Bristol, Darlington. Oh, we go to Darlington, we're going to Indy. Okay. So, yeah, Darlington, is another one that's it's a racer's track. You go to Indy, but they're going to change it all up. But so 3 unique tracks. I mean, does Johnson have a chance to get in the playoffs, or is he just kind of doomed?
Well, for Bristol, he never really seems to do strongly there, but he's always been strong at Darlington and in. He's got 4 wins at Indy, and I think the same amount at Darlington. I'm not sure on that. But, yeah, these are 2 tracks he's really good at. So.
Yeah, never say never. It's not over yet for sure for Johnson. He could come back right around and, land a 5th-place finish or even win. You never know. So, we definitely have 3 interesting tracks here. Bristol, anything can happen. Whopping and banging there. Darlington, if you don't get the Darlington stripe, you're not doing it right. And plus the throwbacks. I'm looking forward to seeing all the throwback paint schemes and then, of course, the Brickyard 400. I think, Bristol's going to be a lot more intense than it was in the spring because a lot of guys are going to be fighting for a win. They're going to be jostling to get into the playoffs. They're going to do everything they can. And I think it's going to be definitely different than what we saw back in the spring.
Yeah, it should be fun, especially since your boy's going to be there.
Mhm. Yeah, Michael's going to Bristol, I believe. Yeah.
Are you going?
So excited.
Are you?
Yep. All 3 nights.
Well, I've seen the track, but I've never been in the track. I mean, I've driven by it multiple times.
Yeah, I've never been in there either. So.
I went there back in 2005 for the night race.
That'll be fun. That's a great play. I mean, I remember when I was working for the Viagra race team when it was Pfizer, and I traded 4 tickets to the guy and got a puppy Vizsla. Mm-hmm. I got him 4 free tickets, and sad part is these races just don't sell out anymore. I remember when Bristol used to just be sold out entirely, but I will be sitting home at 4:00 in the afternoon in Los Angeles time and watching Bristol.
It's Bristol, baby.
It's Bristol, baby. There you go.
Bristol, baby.
All right. Alex, who did you have to win the race?
Ooh, yeah. This ought to be interesting.
I had Logano, but I had Elliott and Harvick as my dark horses, so I win.
Yeah, you always seem to have Elliott and Harvick.
I'm a 9-car guy. I mean, I met Bill Elliott a couple times, and he is the nicest guy in the world. And so,
Yeah, for whatever reason, I'm trying to remember exactly who won the spring race. Give me a second.
Did I ever tell you this story? And we'll wrap it up here. I mean, figure out who you want. It's so sad because I was negotiating with Tony George to buy a quarter-midget car for my son. And the Indiana State Fairgrounds has a quarter-midget track. And I was going to have him go run quarter-midgets. And that Sunday was the day that Big E passed away. And my wife said he's not getting in a car. And that ended that conversation right there. That was it. But Tony George, he runs a quarter-midget track at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. And, he had cars for sale, and I was going to buy one, put Ross in it. Ross ended up being 6'4", 6'4.5", so he's probably too big to even be in a car at this point in time. But yeah, and then we go to the Pacer game, then we learn at halftime the game that the 3-car driver passed away, and which was sad because we had watched the start of the race, and then we saw the end of the race, and then we left immediately to go. Then they announced at the Pacer game that we went to, so that ended my dream of having my son be a race car driver. So I'm embodied in the Chase Elliott. So I hope the guy does good.
Oh yeah. Let's see. In terms of who I have for Bristol, for dark horses, Kyle Larson, generally dirt track driver, runs well there. He's certainly a guy to look out for. In terms of who I think wins this race, I have a feeling it could be a Busch brother, Kyle or Kurt. It can go either way.
Michael, who you got?
Dark horse, I think I'm also going to have to go with Larson. I really wanted to go with him just for my pick, but every time I do that, I jinx him. So I'm not going to do that. But, this is one of his best tracks. He just struggles to close the deal out. So for the pick I have to win, just because of how he's been doing lately, got to say Denny. He's been on a hot streak lately. He tends to do well at the short tracks. So definitely should be interesting to see him running.
Yeah, definitely Denny's probably going to be a guy that I put on. Because on Twitter, I try to put out a pick 4 that I do for all the Cup races. So, Denny will probably be a pick. And, of course, Eric Jones. He's been performing well as of late, too. You ought to look out for him, too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I've got dark horses. I'm going to stay with Chase Elliott. And he won the pole earlier. I mean, he runs well at Bristol. Dark horse, Harvick is on a roll. I think he's on a roll. And then I think Kyle Busch is getting pissed off he's not winning enough right now. So I got Kyle Busch winning this race.
Well, it's not a good thing to be behind the wheel.
I mean, this is a guy you want. This is a race built for this guy. I mean, he'll bump and grind you until there's no tomorrow. And he'll fight you, and, he'll bump you out of the way. He's kind of like the new Dale Earnhardt in some aspects of it, how he drives and things like that. And I think this is a track made for him. But I got Kyle Busch winning and Harvick and Elliott as dark horses. And I picked Logano to win Michigan. I didn't get that. But I did have Harvick as a dark horse.
These picks are fun to make because then we can brag to each other about who got it right.
I know.
Yeah,
Michael, can you come back on next week?
Yeah, I can try.
Tell us how your progress is going. I'm enjoying having
absolutely.
Michael on. Alex, you enjoying having him on? I am.
Yeah, we'll bring him on. Yeah.
All right.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. You and I can set up a time. I'm retired. I can do it whenever you guys want to do it.
Yeah.
All right.
I work a third shift warehouse job, but I will still do the show when I need to do it. Of course, I was a little late because I just switched to my new phone and new service, so I was trying to get all that squared away. But we're good now, so that's what matters. Got anything else to talk about at all?
No, wrap it up.
Actually,
right,
I do kind of want to put this out there. I will be there at Bristol this week with the historic NASCAR YouTuber meetup. So, any of y'all come down there, come join us.
Hey, Michael, I said this. I think that Alex is better than Bob Palcroft.
Oh, come on.
I
don't really want to talk about that just because, I've been getting to know Bob Palcroft lately. He's a good guy, so.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
Yeah, I like Bob. I got to meet him for a couple minutes at Kentucky. Really nice guy. And I'd like to see if I can send him an email and ask him for some advice for the future because I think he's a really good go-to guy for that.
I read his stuff every day. He's probably the best outgoing NASCAR reporter on the air right now.
And actually, one of my friends, Christian Espinoza, he's trying to become a journalist, and he reached out to him, and he gave him some good advice. So that would definitely be a good place to go.
Palcroft is moving up. I mean, when he started, I started following him. He was kind of just a beat reporter, and now he's moved up to, he's on NBC now. He's a regular reporter for them. So he does good. I mean, he does a great job, and he's real factual and gives great insight. Because half the Twitter pages I get are from Bob Palcroft. And then, I'm just
it's actually funny because I hung out with him at Eldora for a little bit, and we're talking, and I'm just going through my Twitter, and someone posts up an error NASCAR on Fox made when Kenny Wallace ran the Eldora Dirt Race years ago. The caption said 344 NASCAR Sprint Cup wins.
Yeah.
So I brought that over to Bob. I was like, hey, can you verify this for me? And he was like, yeah, that looks about right.
Yeah, I remember that. Kenny Wallace is the true goat.
Yeah, Bob Puckers is really cool, and I've been getting to know him this year, and he wished me happy birthday. So I guess it's kind of official now that he knows me. So
there you go. Yeah.
Well, Michael, we'll have you on if you want to come back on next week and keep us updated on your progression into the racing you're going to be doing here. We'll do all we can to support you on this series, on this show. We're thrilled to have you on, get a racer's perspective of what's going on. So thank you very much for doing that to us. So, and you're a fun guy to talk to, have great insight.
Thanks. Yeah, and if we can work this out, maybe I'll have to put the NASCAR Show logo or whatever on the truck or car.
Or the growing, yeah. I was about to say,
you got to go to Goodpasture because you're going to want money for that. That's Goodpasture's problem. It's his show. We just do it. Goodpasture's tight with his money. He doesn't make a lot of it off this stuff right now. So, but anyway, we'll talk. Alex, get us out of here.
All righty. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to this really fun and exciting episode of the NASCAR Show on the Grueling Truth, where license speak. Thank you once again to Michael Klein for joining us. From Michael, Steve Risley, and myself, Alex Gray, we're signing off, and we'll see you next week.